If you're an Ohio public employee thinking about retiring before age 65, one of the biggest questions is simple. What are you going to do for health insurance before Medicare starts? In this video, we'll talk about OPERS, health insurance, HRA, and what you need to think about prior to retiring from OPERS. Hi, I'm Todd Gurno, founder of Three Creeks Capital. I previously worked at STRS Ohio and was an OPERS member. Our firm has specialized in retirement planning for Ohio public employees for over 20 years. In today's video, we're going to discuss your OPERS, HRA, and how to think about OPERS healthcare prior to 65. Let's go ahead and get started. So the key with understanding OPERS healthcare prior to age 65 is first and foremost your eligibility. So let's talk about this. You can see here on my screen the eligibility rules. And what I would point out is for anybody under 65, so in this first category, 60 to 64, it's pretty common for people to know now, hey, I need 20 years of qualifying service credit. What does that mean? Some of you may have purchased service credit, you withdrew from years ago, you may have bought some out-of-state time, some military time. So depending on the kind of credit you purchase will determine if it's qualified towards healthcare or not. Some of them are, most of the common ones like restoration, military, they are included in your healthcare credit. Every day when you're earning service credit, it's included as credible healthcare. So just keep in mind 20 years. You know your group, retirement age, 30 years, 31 under B, and 32 under C. So that's all pretty easy. It's once we hit that 59 and younger, here's what I would point out here. Group A, 30 years, no different than 60 to 64. But in Group B and C, just keep in mind what I'd point out here is Group B, you need 32 years of qualified healthcare service and at least age 52. Okay, so if you've got 32, great. If you don't, you need 31 and age 52. So think of them as kind of separate ways of being eligible for healthcare. And then in Group C, you need 32 years of qualifying health service credit and be 55. So you can see this whole 20-year thing based on age, or if you're really young. So under 65, it's a little more complicated than once you're Medicare eligible. So let's move on. What do I always remind clients when they're retiring under PERS? Okay, first is, do we have enough service credit? Great, and what's our age? Okay, once we know those two things, we can figure out what your subsidy is going to be. So picturing your HRA account, OPERS is going to add money to it each and every month for you, even if you don't pick up health care. Okay, so maybe you decide to go on your spouse's health care, or maybe you decide, hey, I'm going to become reemployed and I don't need it yet, right? But just know what your subsidy amount is. You'll see this during the application process. And if you've run any estimates ahead of time, you'll see on there also what your subsidy amount is. So that percentage for you is going to be based on this $1,200 base. So if you're getting a 90% subsidy, you'll get about $1,080 per month. Maybe you're getting an 80% subsidy or about $960 a month in subsidy. So everybody's a little bit different. So just keep in mind based on age and service credit. Now, what do I go through when I'm talking about this with clients or prospects as they're approaching retirement? Here's really kind of this chart to help you understand what I discuss with clients. First is, can you pick up spousal health care? If your spouse is still working, most likely that's the most advantageous place to get health care prior to 65. Now, if that's not the case, you really have two choices. One is COBRA. So with your current employer that you're retiring from, you have the option of maintaining that healthcare plan for up to 18 months. Or if you retire and decide, okay, I want to go into the OPERS healthcare system, get my subsidy, those types of things, and choose a plan there, you have that. So we always go through these two options with people so that they understand which one may be better for them. So there are pros and cons to both of these. So let's just go through. In my example, you can see here our client, or in this example, this member would pay about $1,000 per month in COBRA coverage, which you may think, well, that seems kind of high. But keep in mind, employers will offer you the same plan at a rate of 110% of whatever the premium is. So you're no longer getting that subsidy. So in this example, $1,000 a month, you can see here you have the same coverage you had while working. And it's because it's the exact same plan. So you have the exact same deductibles, out of pocket. Nothing really changes other than you're paying full price. Okay? So what's nice about this? The main advantage, you're familiar with it. You understand which doctors are covered. You understand the network. You know the co-pays, out-of-pocket expenses. You're used to it. So it makes it easy. Okay? What's the downside? Well, one is we know that COBRA is a little more expensive than what it's going to cost you today while you're working, but it's also only for 18 months. So within that time period, you're going to have to decide, do I go on to OPERS or another healthcare plan? So this is really a bridge for you when it comes to healthcare, okay? So I have had some people suggest, well, I'm going to go ahead and retire at 63 and a half, and then I'm going to take COBRA, and that's going to carry me until I'm Medicare eligible at 65. It's always an option, okay? So what are the things that I want you to compare first? So I want you to decide on out-of-pocket cost, premiums, deductibles, are your doctors covered, are your prescriptions covered, those types of things, okay? So when switching over to the OPERS plan, what you're going to find is, at least what we're finding for this calendar year, is clients are paying about $1,200 to $1,400 a month. So maybe a little more than under your COBRA, or about the same. Remember, you get the subsidy regardless of which plan you go in. Now, what's a little bit different is that under the OPERS plan, it's not the same as you have today. And so even though you may have medical mutual at work and you pick medical mutual at OPERS under their VIA benefits program, it's not going to be the same medical mutual plan. It'll just be the same provider, okay? So just remember that this is totally separate, and you'll select this through VIA benefits. You'll want to make sure that your doctors and prescriptions are covered before you pick your plan. So when you get into VIA benefits, just list your doctors as well as your prescription drugs, and then you'll be given options within the VIA benefits system which plans are available that will cover those prescriptions as well as doctors, okay? Again, we get the subsidy under both. That feels great. The main advantage with going to OPERS is if you're, let's say, 60, you're going to be on this plan for the next 5 years until Medicare kicks in. Well, now you don't have to switch after 18 months from COBRA into OPERS and then into Medicare at some point at 65. So a little less change overall. You kind of go into one plan, sort of figure it out, and learn how to work within that plan. Your monthly cost could be higher here than COBRA, so I think it's really important that you do a comparison of the two options. And then, especially if you're covering a family member, a spouse, or any children. And then the other thing you want to think about is, under this new plan, how those premiums, deductibles, out-of-pocket costs compare to your COBRA plan. So again, neither plan is a bad option, okay? So OPERS has great healthcare options for you, just like your COBRA is a great option because you already understand the healthcare plan. Unless you, again, don't feel like your current plan is all that great, then you definitely want to consider the OPERS plan. But in general, what I've found is both plans are perfectly fine for retirees. It's just deciding which one's best. This is something that really hangs a lot of people up as they approach retirement. So if you really feel like you need some expertise, some help along the way thinking this through, feel free to reach out to us. The biggest takeaway is this. If you're retiring before Medicare, it can absolutely work, but you need to understand your health insurance options before you make your final retirement decision. So whether you're taking COBRA or OPERS and trying to figure out via benefits, taking your spouse's plan, using another marketplace option, just make sure whatever you do, compare the premium, the deductibles, the out-of-pocket costs, prescriptions, make sure your doctors are covered, and how your OPERS HRA works, what your reimbursement is going to be. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're building this as a resource for OPERS members who want to make confident retirement decisions. For more Ohio Public Employee resources, visit threecreekscapital.com. You can also book an intro call by following the link in the video description. And if you're wondering what changes once you turn 65, watch the next video. What happens when you turn 65 and you're eligible for Medicare? Thank you.